Rob, first of all, I'm such a massive fan. I just wanted to ask, like, how are you doing? How's your family doing? Is everyone safe and healthy?
Yes, yeah, we're doing great. It's been honestly a blessing to be able to spend this much time with them. So we've been really taking full advantage of that.
That's awesome, dude. That's really cool to hear that. So I just want to start by saying that one of the things I loved about this is I know right now, if my bosses need me to do something, if my friends want to hop on the phone, if my mom wants to call, I have absolutely no reason to say no. Like they know I'm home, they know I've got nowhere to go. Like I don't have any excuses. So when this idea kind of started formulating, was there a certain idea of like no one can say no because we know you all have nothing to do?
Well, we conceived of this about 3 weeks ago, a little over 3 weeks ago, I think a month ago. So by that point, we had all been in quarantine for a good amount of time, and I think everybody was itching to have something to do. So I didn't expect a ton of resistance, and we didn't get a lot.
I'm saying I love the idea of kind of almost like I don't want to say like spying, but kind of just like watching a Zoom meeting, like something I'm probably not supposed to be watching for this, like obviously these incredibly creative people, this giant production. If you could like have spied on the production or watched like a Zoom meeting of any massive movie or any TV show or any video game, just to sit back and watch them all yell at each other, watch them all talk to each other, which one would you be most interested in seeing?
Wow. Like throughout history.
Yeah.
I feel like watching the making of like Terminator 2 would be pretty cool.
Oh my God! Just James Cameron just ripping into people.
I think JC at his top, at his most energetic, and navigating all the technical difficulties and navigating the biggest movie star in the world and all of the I mean, I just also am just a huge fan of that movie. I think that would be a fun thing to see.
One of the really interesting things, because I think this show's hilarious, but also has a lot of really interesting themes worth sort of talking about, is sort of this like godlike complex. This idea of if you're creating a world, even if it is a video game, how do you not sort of have this carry with you this godlike complex? I'm sort of curious. You are now responsible for two incredibly successful shows. You in your own right, you have created these worlds. How do you keep yourself from having a godlike complex?
Well, I have a very strong support system that would not allow that to happen. I think that starts most definitely with my spouse and certainly my children. And my children don't they're young enough that they don't do this consciously, but they are constantly reminding me that I am not that impressive. That's
It's nice to
helpful.
have people do that for you.
It's one of the benefits of having children who grow up. They're not in our business, but they're around our business, obviously. And because to them, no matter what, we're just like dorky mom and dad.
Mm.
And so when people come up to us and say that they are like fans of the show, or that we're so cool, they understand that we make a TV show, but they could really care less. I mean, really, truly care less. They don't. They come to set and they're not impressed by any of it other than craft service, where they can go and eat candy because we don't even keep candy in the house, so they can just go and eat candy all day long.
One of the stats I love just working in entertainment news is this idea that more often than not, video games make way more money and are way more successful than the biggest movies that came out. I think when Endgame came out, I don't know what game it was, but there was a game that came out that made more money, that was more successful, and no one was talking about it. It wasn't getting that sort of credit.
Well, I'll put something in perspective for you. Grand Theft Auto. Have you heard of that game?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so the Grand Theft Auto series, which has been a few games, a few iterations of that game, has made more money as a franchise than Star Wars.
No one talks about that.
And that includes merchandising, that includes everything. It is the biggest piece of entertainment IP in the history of the world. And it's just not something that's talked about in the mainstream media. And I think that's a big reason why we didn't want to make a TV show that didn't feel authentic to the experience. And so much of what I had seen in the past were shows about games or gaming culture that was very stereotypical, very specific to a character of a middle-aged guy living in his mom's basement, right? And that's just not true. Gaming is a global experience, a global community, and we wanted to make sure that we were expressing that.
For sure. I 100% agree with that. As we wrap up, the one thing I just, it's sort of a fun hypothetical. I love It's Always Sunny. Anytime there's anything going on with the news or whatever, I always think, like, what would the gang do in that situation? So I'm just sort of curious, what do you think the gang would be doing right now during quarantine?
Well, I would say that, in the Mythic Quest quarantine episode, we are very respectful of the science,
Mhm.
very respectful of the pandemic and of the stay-at-home order, very respectful of the law, as we are as the filmmakers. Now, the characters of Sunny would not be respective of the science, because I don't think they believe in science unless it suits their particular needs. I also think that they would not respect the law, and they would do whatever the hell they wanted. So my guess is that a quarantine episode of Sunny would be very different than a quarantine episode of Mythic Quest.
Well, seriously. Well, congratulations on Mythic Quest, man. I've always wanted to meet you. Hopefully, next time we do it, it'll be in person. But seriously, on all the happiness and all the success in the world, I'm such a fan. So seriously, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, take care, buddy. See you later.